Hey, welcome to Tell Me How You're Mighty, real talk about cheating. I'm Tracy Shorn, the blogger known as Chump Lady, where I implore people to leave cheaters and gain lives.
And I'm Sarah Gorrell, radio broadcaster by day, single mother of 4. And 13 years ago, my ex walked out on his family for his affair partner. And it didn't feel like it at the time, but my life is so much better without him.
And we're here to tell you that you are mighty. We survived infidelity, and you can too. And this is our podcast. Welcome. Hi, welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about mistresses, the other woman, and are they unduly shamed in a way that male cheaters are not. And I decided I wanted to talk to Sarah about this letter that I got this week from a mistress. And there was 2 other women's stories in the news cycle. One was I got a letter from a mistress, and the other one was that the Jumbotron Coldplay cheater of infamy, Kristin Cabot, actually paid a public relations firm to promote her narrative that she was hard done by, and this is all very unfair. And that resulted in a New York Times story, which we're going to get to in a minute. But before that, on shaming other women, I got a letter from a mistress who asked me to tell her boyfriend's wife about their affair. She didn't want to do it because, consequences. But she wrote to me and asked if I would do it for her. And it did not go as she expected. So, Sarah, I wanted your cold take on this.
Right, I'm looking forward to this. Go on then.
All right, I'm going to read the letter and then you just go for it. Okay, it goes, Dear Chump Lady, I would like to tell you my story and ask for your help if that's possible. I had a passionate but sad relationship with a man who was in a civil partnership with a woman. They had 2 young children. I was also in a civil partnership, but I decided to tell my husband everything as I wanted to leave him. The other man said nothing to his wife, even though he was pressuring me to leave my partner and live with him. He wanted me to tell him I love you often. I needed time to get my life in order before taking the plunge. I ended up feeling a lot of love for him, but he gradually withdrew from the relationship, thinking that I wasn't fully committed. I had even managed to get an apartment for him and us, but then he left for good, leaving me with cold, distant, and even curt and abrupt messages, avoiding the dates that I proposed. I had asked him several times if it was really over with his wife. He always answered yes, supposedly planning to move soon. He listed his wife's flaws, surely to justify his infidelity. And then just when things were getting serious between us, he would change his tune, saying, she's nice, she's a friend. And suddenly he found qualities in her that he couldn't give up. After I had opened my heart to him, I regularly messaged him to ask how he was doing. Nothing. No reply. He gave me a bunch of reasons. My wife is kind. We don't have any tension. I want to stay home with my children. She might tell my whole family and my father would disown me. In one of my last messages, I told him I understood his avoidant attachment style and his behavior, and that I didn't hold it against him, and that we would surely maintain a strong, invisible bond between us. And now, he's suddenly coming back, watching me out of the corner of his eye. He's observing me. He is a cowardly and fearful man. He will never tell his wife. He cherishes his comfort and routine. This whole affair has robbed me of my peace, and a year later I still can't move on. I think about it every day. His wife has questioned him several times about possible infidelity. He always denied it, always lied. And I think it would be wise to warn this woman and confess to her. I don't want revenge, but I do want to tell her the truth because she suspected something, and he fed her a long lie. He'll probably do it again. My pain will be acknowledged, and I will be free from the burden of being the only one who knows, making the lie impossible and placing the responsibility where it belongs. However, am I being cowardly by asking you to help me with this? I'm so afraid of the consequences for my current life, which I can't seem to live to the fullest. My child, my partner, we're trying to mend our relationship and that's difficult. My job, we were colleagues. Could you perhaps consider sending an email to this woman saying that I confided in you about this and that I left it up to you to decide how we proceed with revealing the truth? Kind regards. And then I named her Gutless because she didn't leave me a screen name.
That is just staggering. So you were supposed to email some random person telling all these goings on
Yeah, I mean, it's a good look into the sort of narcissistic rancid oatmeal of the brains of people who do this. I called her out. I'm like, look, lady, you're not doing this with purest motives. I mean, I still think it's always better to tell, but it's like, I don't want revenge. Of course you want revenge.
There's a lot of the use of the word I here and me. I noticed that in the particular letter. But the other thing as well is that it seems to imply that she is trying to save her relationship with the partner that she was going to leave. So there's another person involved in this as well, that maybe you should inform him that she's writing to you to get this person, because clearly the reason that she wants the wife told or the partner told is because she's still got her beady eye on having this person back and making sure this relationship does come to an end.
Yeah, well, it's cake eating. It's like, long as she got thrown under the bus by her affair partner, now she's interested in the guy she chumped and her kid. I think it's funny that she didn't mention her child until nearly the last paragraph. I mean, she mentions the 2 children of her affair partner, but I'm like, there's 3 children involved here. Really? And also, I think the giveaway is my pain will be acknowledged. Me, like this person I didn't pick me dancing with.
Yes. And this is it. I will be freed from being the only person who knows. Well, you're not the only person who knows because you told your partner, didn't you, who's now trying to mend this relationship while you're busy trying to still sort of embroil yourself in some way in your affair relationship, which I imagine is nothing to do with you wanting to be freed of the burden. It's to do with you trying to see if you can get that relationship back, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think other women, I know that's how I found out in my story, and I read a lot of these stories, is they dress it up as this noble whistleblowing. But what they want to do is throw a Molotov cocktail into the marriage to get the chump to leave the cheater so that they can have them. Or they want justice. They want the cheater to choke on the humiliation and the grief because they got rejected. And they don't care who they hurt. If they hurt kids, okay. If they hurt the unknowing chump, okay. They want their pound of flesh. And yeah, I mean, I call bullshit on like, you care about this woman's welfare. If you cared about this woman's welfare, you would not be fucking her husband, right? You're not part of the universal sisterhood, and you don't get sympathy now for being hard done by. Like, oh, he lied to you. Oh, well, you thought you were totally fine with him lying to his wife, and now you think he's a no good Nick. That to me is just, you're such a hypocrite. Such a hypocrite. And that you want me, chump lady, to do your dirty work for you.
This could be the start of a whole new thing, that you send the emails that nobody else wants to send.
I am not taking that job, man.
And then you can get embroiled in the fallout, and it'll be your responsibility because you decided what to do with that information.
Oh my God. Well, you laugh about that. I laugh about that. But I have gotten letters, and I've also gotten people like where mistresses send the chump to my site, or they send my book to the chump, or whatever. I mean, I get these kind of like, I don't know who signed me up for this. I mean, I think now you've got a thing, you opt out or something. I don't know. But I know that my book has been weaponized that way. Kind of bonkers. But they feel sorry for themselves, these other women. They think that they're chumps. They think they deserve sympathy.
Well, it's an interesting contradiction that this person talks about the terrible time that this has caused career, relationship, child, but still does it from their own perspective and says that it's really only her that's suffering, when clearly the whole family has been imploded. The child's affected, a partner's affected who's trying to rebuild this relationship, and yet still she's thinking it's a good idea to just delegating the responsibility to you to do.
Well, he stopped taking her calls and in the emails, remember? He no reply. There was no reply. And my feeling when I answered on my blog was like, lady, these are your consequences. I'm so sorry you're afraid of them, but find your guts, do the right thing, and bow out. And accept the consequences in your relationship and in your life for doing this. They're nobody's consequences but yours.
I always find it interesting, though, that quite often you get that narrative that if someone's having an affair, that their affair partner is in no way to blame whatsoever, because the person that you made the vows with or was in the relationship is that person having the affair. And I kind of get that, but I still think that it takes a certain sort of person to get involved with somebody who knows that their partner has got a wife, children, other responsibilities, and to collude in that.
Yeah, they're conspiring in your abuse. That's the language that I use, and that's what it is. Are they the same as the person who vowed to be your partner? No, it's not the same, but it's aiding and abetting. I said they're Vichy. Are they Nazis? No, they're Vichy. They're Vichy women. They're Vichy affair partners. They're happily competing with you. You're in the dark about it. Now, I know that there are affair partners who are unknowing, and I'm not talking about people who honestly don't know. Like somebody presents themselves as single on a dating site. They send you their dick pic or whatever, and you think they're single and you're stupid enough to fall for it. But that's not the same thing. Those people are being chumped. If you don't know, you don't know. But for people who knowingly, go out with a married person, yeah, own all the consequences of your own self-inflicted stupidity. Yeah.
I think we can safely conclude that you will not be sending the email.
No, but I did give her a right telling off on my blog. But okay, so now we're going to pivot to Kristin Cabot. And that woman, if you need your memories refreshed, is the person who was caught on the Jumbotron at the Coldplay concert. She's very incensed that she's been vilified. So she's hired a public relations firm to get her side of the story out. And she's here in the US, she was in the New York Times. And I think she's been in People magazine and all, kind of Yahoo News. So she's been around. I don't know if she's in the British. Has she been in the British press?
Oh, yeah, everywhere, pretty much everywhere.
So the New York Times had this story called, what they said, the ritual shaming of the other woman. And essentially try to put a feminist slant on this, that women get much more opprobrium than men do. And look, I think that's true. I think there's a lot more sexual shaming of women. I think women get a harder time across the board about just about anything. But, that's my big but. But again, you knowingly got involved with a married person. I think having schadenfreude and humor and snark about the situation is not equivalent to death threats and public insults and the things that Kristin Cabot has said has happened to her. So we very much against that. And there's no but on the death threats. It's wrong. It's completely obscene and objectionable. But what I react to is this whole, she fails to understand everybody's hostility or why she's the butt of a joke. And it's because you did something that's really shitty. And I guess it has to be explained to Kristin Cabot that when you're the head of HR, you don't crush on your boss and get him to feel up your boobs at a concert, okay? It's a really bad look, It doesn't matter what your marital status is because she said she was separated or going through a divorce. You still know this guy's married. I mean, it's just stupid on any. I've blabbered enough. Sarah, what do you think of the whole thing?
Was it Oasis who in their concert went, oh, fine, if you want to be having an affair, you're all welcome here. So kind of went to the other extreme of saying it's terrible that these people have been vilified and portrayed in this way. And you just get on with your scurrilous behaviour, which does highlight that actually there is still a lot of people that think that carrying on behind people's backs is completely acceptable.
Yeah, right. Whatever, fuck around, give people diseases, steal their reality, their time. That's fine. No biggie, no harm, no foul. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. But I absolutely understand why people don't like Kristin Cabot. And the other thing is, to me, if you're having a death threat, you're being publicly insulted, whatever, use the law, right? There's harassment laws. Absolutely come down on people like that. But publicly, to spend money to change a narrative, to soft pedal the fuck tangle that you find yourself in is so much hubris, right? And then you're shaming us for judging you. Like, to me, it's just mind bending. Like, if you're really sorry, if you're really embarrassed, the news cycle will change in 30 seconds. Just be quiet and go about your business and acknowledge that this was awful and you lost your job and move on. Where's the apology to this guy's wife? Andy, they both lost their job. Oh, but I did want to get your reaction to one, I thought, particularly stupid part of this New York Times article. It goes, Cabot told me women have been her cruelest critics. All of the in-person bullying has been from women, as have most of the phone calls and messages. What I've seen these last months makes it harder for me to believe that it's all about men holding us back, she said, Cabot. I think we are holding ourselves back tremendously by cutting each other down. So, Sarah, Kristin is part of the universal sisterhood, and we've all been very mean.
Oh, yeah, of course. Cutting each other down when you behave in a terrible way to other women, which is what she did.
Yeah, it's not men holding us back. Oh, no. There's no such thing as sexism. This is women. Women are mean.
Well, there we are. I'm quite pleased that she's got that out of her system because it's, again, you were saying you should just quietly fade into the background and not try and justify bad behaviour.
Yeah, well, then I can hear the narrative, the misappropriating of feminism to go, why should she sit down and be quiet? Why are you trying to silence her? She's a woman. Why are you trying to shame her? And let me explain it again. It's because you're a dick sucker of the patriarchy, Kristin. You were okay. Women have had to fight against this idea that we sleep our way to the top, and it's a horrible misogynistic trope. And you were trying to do exactly that. You were trying to sleep with your boss. And when you're the head of HR, so why people are upset is it's one set of rules for me and another set of rules for thee. And you were okay sucking up to the power structure. You were okay conspiring in another woman's abuse for your ego. You were okay risking your family's home life and everything to gratify yourself. That's why people are like enjoying your comeuppance and don't feel sorry for you. And to try to then co-opt the narrative that you are somehow a victim of the patriarchy, and not only that, you're a victim of mean, judgy church lady women, is just whack. It's completely whack. That's all I have to say.
Well, there we are. That sorted that one out.
All right. Until next time. Reach out to us. You can check us out at tellmehowyourmighty.com or check out the blog at chumplady.com. I'm always open to your suggestions there.